Hello everybody, welcome along to TGP1. You join us on week 7 of season 40 of the TGP1 series, and we are in for a cracking night of racing tonight. We are starting off in Monza. We've got a 80-minute qualifying session, which we're halfway through at the moment, followed by a 35% race. Then we are heading out to Asia, where we're going to Singapore for a one-shot qualifying event, followed by a 25% race, where the drivers are going to be put under the most pressure to deliver a lap time at the most crucial moment. Now, I'm Mike Noon, and joining me in the commentary box tonight is Sean. Sean, you're not racing with us tonight, but you're certainly making a more up for it by joining me in the commentary box. Thank you very much for coming along. And what can we expect to see from tonight's action?
Yeah, thank you for having me. So tonight I think we'll see a close battle between the title contenders, which actually goes down to around 8th place, because that's the gap of about 50 points. So if we have some clean races, we might see Cam either extending his lead or Softy putting up a challenge after his penalty last week and getting the wins tonight and taking the lead in the championship.
Yep, I think you're quite right, we could be in for some very interesting races, and we've just seen New Zealand Cam, our championship leader, take provisional pole around this Monza circuit as he betters Softy's time very briefly, because Softy has just gone and put half a second on Cam. So a fantastic lap there from the man from Nottingham, and Cam's got to go back to the drawing board and think how he can come up with a better time. Let's give you a quick rundown then of our provisional qualifying order, as we are about halfway through this session. So we've got Softy, we've just seen go quickest with New Zealand Cam in P2, Court, who we're watching now in P3, Big Boy Ewan is in 4th, then Johners is in P5, the Confessor also on that lap P6. He inherited the win from Softy last week, and to take his second win of the season. Jack Hickey's P7, Alistair Bain P8, P9 from Matt Tibbles and Dom Smith currently rounding out the top 10 with Speak High, Jovial Manatee, Dan the Man, Mr. Chip Ellie and Jack Pearson rounding out our order. And we've lost Lewis Craig and Machine Island already from this qualifying session, having various incidents. So we are currently watching Johners, and the man from Essex is going to be hoping for another solid week after a good week from him last week, which we saw Softy taking the race win in Belgium, followed up by Shane, who, as we said, taking the race win in Netherlands after Softy's penalty for his incident with his title rival Cam. And Sean, we're obviously seeing Johners going around a lap at the moment. Very different track this to the likes of Netherlands and Spa last week. All about top speed, all about how brave you are on the brakes. How does the driver's mindset change from one week to the other when they go from a track like Zandvoort to a track like Monza?
Well, I guess it's down to the difference in the setups and running either with a higher downforce or a lower downforce. Monza especially, you've only got one line really through most of the chicanes that you can take and carry a lot of speed through. And going through the rest of this qualifying, I think we'll see the times getting faster and faster. And John has actually been on quite good form all season long. I think he's currently sitting in 3rd place in the championship. And that's just from consistent driving and keeping out of incidents.
Yeah, well, we've seen him do just that, really. You know, he's just been there or thereabouts. You know, we've not seen any spectacular performances thus far, it must be said. But, you know, we haven't seen him really necessarily put a foot wrong. He hasn't been involved in any instance. We've just seen the Confessor go up into P3. And that is what's allowed him to sort of get close to this title battle. And as you said, you know, 50 points separate the top 8 in the championship from New Zealand Cam down to Jack Hickey. So, you know, it's an open battle this season. There's still a long way to go in the season, let alone a long way to go in this qualifying session. 5 minutes just over left on the clock. We've just seen the Confessor go into P3, but that gap of half a second, Sean, is very ominous between first and second.
Yeah, it's looking well for Softy at the minute. Maybe Cam didn't get the lap together just how he wanted to, and we're going to see sometimes get a bit faster towards the end. He's currently sat in the pits, but we do have the likes of Confessor, but I think he's on an in-lap, and not many people really going for fast laps at the moment. Yeah, just a bit of a lull at the minute.
Yeah, well, obviously we've got this little period before we go into the last run, so drivers will more likely than not be going into the pits, changing tyres, making the few adjustments they can do on their setup. I mean, we've got Alistair Bain, who's just coming up to the final corner now. Sean, perhaps let's ride on board with the Scotsman as he comes towards the line. Let's have a little wander around the lap with him. So, we're going up through the gears. We now go up into 8th gear. DRS is going to be open now as we head down towards turn number 1 then. As Softy's retired, he feels he can't go any quicker. We're keeping an eye on Alistair Bain at the moment. He picks his braking point, avoids a lockup, but he does miss the apex at turn 1. And Sean, that is not how the Scotsman would have wanted to start his lap.
No, he's just got a bit deep into there. I think if he runs ABS off, he had a little lockup in the rears there, did a little slide. But he's going to carry on with this lap, and we'll see if he can improve. A lot of time to be gained on that 1 minute 19.7 at the minute. He's only a 10th down, so we'll see if he can. Oh, and then he has a little slide, which I think he'll just back out of this about now and try and get another run in before the end.
So are we likely to see him now? I mean, obviously well held there from Alistair Bain, keeping it out of the wall, but are we likely to see, does he have time, do you think, to come into the pits, change tyres and go out again, or is he now going to take the time to cool the tyres off, do you think?
I think if it was me personally, I'd have put a little bit more fuel in just in case something like that had happened to me. But in quali, you want to run as little weight as you possibly can to get the most speed out of the car, especially down the long straights here at Monza. And to me, it looks like he might still be going for the lap he was currently on.
Well, it's he's invalidated it. So I mean, he'd be brave if he is. And we do see him coming to the pits. There we go. So
yeah, he might have a bit of time just to change the tyres and get back out. It is a quick lap round Monza, but like you said, Softy's retired like a 1 minute 18.6. That's a pretty good pull, and by pretty good, I don't think someone's getting close at the minute. The clouds actually look a bit dark to me. I don't know about you, so could we likely see a little bit of rain towards the end?
Quite possibly. Maybe that's why Softy thinks he can't improve. But, you know, we have got the drivers going out there at the moment on some outlaps. We've got Johners, Matt Tibos and Dom Smith currently on their outlaps. Johners is the one further round the track. So let's keep an eye on the man from Harlow in Essex as he comes onto the back straight before the parabolic corner. I don't know what it's been renamed to, so I cannot tell you that.
My knowledge of corners is not great.
No, I'm glad it's not just me. Now, interestingly, we're not seeing very many drivers, although I'm saying that a lot of big clusters just come out the pits. We're not seeing very many going for the toe approach, but maybe it's too distracting, perhaps. You know, maybe that's where drivers are thinking, rather than trying to secure a toe, let's just get in some clean air, get my lap time done. Do you think, was that something that you think any of them will be particularly conscious about trying or not trying to do?
Well, yeah, you want to have a clean lap, and possibly the best way to do that is without the toe. If it's your teammate and you've got a bit of good communication, it could possibly work, but at Monza you've got these two short chicanes, like you're braking very heavily going into them, you risk rear-ending the car in front, so I think here it is the right choice to just go about your lap and hope you get some clean air.
Yep, well, we're watching Jonas at the moment on board with the former TGP1 champion, multiple champion, let's not forget, and his consistent results thus far have put him in a not bad position. He was about par with his best first sector time, about to get a second split coming up now, and he's half a tenth under that. That is not going to be enough for a marked improvement for Jonas. It might get him one position up, but the rear end's getting a bit loose through the Ascari chicane. He's got one more corner to go. Can we see Jonas improve on his P9 position? He's not one of the big players. They're all going out on laps at the moment. They've just started their tours, but we're going to continue watching Jonas with the last corner threading his way through on the run up to the line. Are we going to see an improvement for Jonas? It's good enough only for 7th. He found a 10th and a half in the end. But Sean, how are our main two getting on? The Confessor has just started his lap, so let's turn our attentions to Cam.
Yeah, Cam's just finished his first sector and he's half a tenth down on his best lap. But he's just off the back end, he's lost a tyre.
Whoa!
Confessor's just coming up on him right now as well, so we'll see him as he goes by.
The Confessor's a 10th of a second up. It's gone disastrously for Cam. The Confessor nearly makes the same mistake. It's tricky through that second chicane, but as he heads his way through the Lesmos now, the man from Ireland, our reigning TGP1 champion, is desperate to find a little bit of form. And as he heads now onto the straight towards the Ascari chicane, the DRS is open. His head is down. He's trying to make himself as streamlined as possible, as aerodynamic as possible. He needs every single mile an hour he can get. And look at that. He's improving by 3.5 tenths. The tricky Ascari chicane. He keeps it easy he keeps it tidy, but he nearly has a wobble. Someone's had a big off in front of him. I think that was Jack Pearson, but as we head towards the Parabolica now, he's got a car in front of him. Is that going to give him a little bit of a toe towards the line? We're certainly going to find out. He's got one corner he needs to nail. He needs to get on the power, avoid a rear end moment, and as he heads towards the line, are we going to see another man into the 1:18s? It is, but it's not good enough for the Confessor. He's going to line up on the front row beside the soft cop, but he's not going to be on pole.
Yeah, like we saw through Ascari, he got a little bit wriggly, and a few other times when he was at the exit of the corners, and that's cost him quite a few attempts in that lap. So we could see quite a challenge in the race from the Confessor, because he looks like he has a pace if he can keep the lap all together.
Well, that's just it, isn't it, really? You know, we saw some really good pace from the man, but he just couldn't really tie it all together in the end. And that second sector was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, he found 3.5 tenths on his personal best purple through that middle sector. But the consistency of Softy through all three sectors is what pulled him through in the end to give him, in the end, what was quite a comfortable margin. I mean, it was still comfortable, but, 3 tenths is good showing. So the soft cop is on pole once again, and he's joined on the front row by the Confessor. New Zealand Cam is in third, our championship leader, with Court Gill, a very good qualifying from him, in fourth. Jovial Manatee is fifth, with Dan the Man in sixth. Those two seem to share rows quite often. Jack Hickey is P7, with John is an eighth. Matt Tibos ninth, Big Boy Ewan rounding out the top 10. Then we've got Speed Kai, Alistair Bain, Dom Smith, Mr. Chiapelli, and Jack Pearson, the last man to actually complete a lap time, with Lewis Craig and Machine Island failing to set a time. Sean, it's going to be quite an interesting race, I think, this one. I mean, does tyre wear really come into effect around a track like this, or should we see drivers being able to push and attack quite comfortably?
I think at this track, so because it's a 35% race, I think we'll see a lot of alternate strategies. So we might see some people starting on the hards and some people on the mediums. I don't think the softs will really get used because I think the tyre wear is quite high, but we'll see what the drivers go with at the start of this race.
Well, I think you're quite right, actually. With that extra distance that they're covering, I mean, we don't necessarily see the tyres go under a Hewloge. There's a lot of straight lines, but you've got corners like the Parabolica, you've got traction zones where the rear tyres are going to be struggling. So it might not be a straightforward case, but let's see what we end up with. We have got safety car enabled for this race tonight as well, worth bearing in mind. So that's going to throw up a strategy mix too. If we see an early or indeed a late safety car. But are we going to see drivers risk it on the hards, mediums, or do they go aggressive and go to the softs? Could we see some two stops? Well, we're certainly about to find out.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Sean. No, this is him and I not getting quite used to each other's commentary, but go for it, Sean.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look at the race director while we've got a bit of time.
Oh, we haven't got any time at all because we've got 4 and 5 lights on the grid. And sorry to cut over you there, Sean, but we're underway. And it was a good start from the front row. It looked like a very good start in 5th place for Jovial Manatee, and it is because he's already up to 4th. And the Confessor is now looking behind him because he's got Cam challenging on his outside. He's also got Jovial Manatee on the inside, late on the brakes, these two. Cam has got the line, he's got P2. It's a disaster for the Confessor, who's dropped back already. And Softy is scarpering away out front as Matt Tibos claims a place further back on Johners, but they all seem to be through the first chicane safely, and Cam is now starting to gap the Confessor as well. And as we make our way towards the second chicane, heavy on the brakes, but the top 3 have sorted themselves out. Meanwhile, further back, we've got a bit of argy-bargy going on, and we've got a car almost running wide. Johners had to go off the track, and Jack Hickey's made up a couple of places in all of that going on.
Yeah, all the cars got away really well off the line and everyone got through cleanly, and when we come up to that chicane we've got a mix of like the different grip levels of the soft and the medium tyres, the front 4 running the mediums, and then Dan and Court the next runners with the softs. A real mix of strategy, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we're seeing all sorts of action going on through the field, and which is really good to see. But the top 3 seem to have sorted themselves out. Alistair Bain looked like he was getting racy on the exit of the Ascari chicane as well, getting towards the Parabolica. But good start for Softy, but you have to say the Confessor will be disappointed to have missed out, or to lost out on P2. But look at this, Cam's getting very racy on Softy. He's using the overtake, and are we going to see a change for P1? But it seems like Softy is combating that with himself with a bit of battery usage.
Yeah, just maintaining about a 3/10 gap to Cam through the lap at the minute, and we'll just see who can come out on top using the battery, and they're both using it right now. So I think Softy's just trying to either build that gap for when DRS is enabled, because once you're in a train here, we'll probably see a gigantic train down to 12 like we have most races this season.
And obviously when DRS comes into play next lap as well, I mean, what we've got to remember is if you've got DRS on the car in front, that not only helps you in attack in theory, but it also helps you defend. So, you know, we end up seeing, particularly around this track, where downforce isn't really used, DRS trains being a bit of a problem.
Yeah, you really want to be the car sat behind the leader, the car without DRS, because other than that, you just sat there just waiting, and if you use too much battery, you're not saving it for later on in the race when you need to make a move. You just need to pick your moments and get the right overtakes. Everyone's just sort of like in line at the minute, just following each other around. I can't really see any battles that are too close.
Well, we got Alistair Bain trying to make a move on Dom Smith, as you say that, Sean, into the Parabolica. Alistair losing out a little bit on the spot at the start, and as he cuts under Dom Smith, and we complete lap number 2 and start lap number 3, he has moved himself up into 11th place. As meanwhile, Machine Ireland is getting past Jack Pearson as DRS has been enabled.
Yeah, that gap at the front's staying about the same as well. Cam's just on 60% and Softy's on 65%, so both fairly even at this moment in time. The Confessor's just sat in behind on about 80% battery, so we could just be waiting. It's to see Dan the man is actually closing in on these soft tyres, and it's whether he can take himself and potentially drag Court with the DRS up to the back of these guys and get involved in the fight.
Well, I think that's quite right, and we've got quite an interesting battle. You mentioned Dan the man there on the soft tyres. We've got Court Gill behind him on the softs as well. Jovial Manatee, after that great start, has dropped back down to P6. Jack Pearson's picked up a penalty already, but it's quite a close little gap behind Dan. Dan, although he was making up time, has now started to lose ground. It's the Confessor who's going on the charge, because he's about 0.3 of a second behind Cam. So, could we see a battle about to be infused with the top 3?
Yeah, it's looking likely as we come around the Parabolica now, and Cam and the Confessor will both have DRS now. It's just see who's willing to use that ERS to make this overtake, and it's the closest Cam's been along this straight, so we'll see. Going into the first corner, and he moves to the inside, and he decides to back out of it.
Ooh, the Confessor! He had to commit late because Cam got on the brakes more than he expected, and the Confessor found himself facing the wrong way, and he's dropped all the way down to P7. So having looked for a moment like he was going to challenge for P2, he's dropped all the way down to P7. I think that came because Cam, it looked like he was going to go for the attack moving to the inside, but I think that was more in defence, and it caught the Confessor out, and, it's paid big.
Yeah, it didn't look like the Confessor could get the car stopped enough going into that corner, and the door was just closing as Cam came across. Unfortunate for him, but I think it doesn't look like he's got any damage, and he hasn't got the DRS on the back of Jack Hickey. So is he going to try and work his way back up, or will he come into the pits early and try and get an undercut?
But we'll have to see on those medium tyres, of course, so it wouldn't be necessarily the best time to pit. Meanwhile, Court Gill and Jovial Manatee starting to give Dan the man a bit of grief. But I'd say that's worked out perfectly for Cam, because now he doesn't have to watch in his mirrors and he can put his sole attention on Softy in front.
Yeah, he's in a good position now, and he can decide what he does from here. He can decide whether he wants to do the overtake or he just wants to stick in the DRS and let Softy effectively carry him away from this pack behind that's chasing.
Yep, well, Cam's going again, and interesting. Oh,
yeah, he backed fully out into
yeah, he did.
Corner. Just fully lifted. He has actually caught the curbs going.
Oh, we got a virtual safety car. I think we got an incident towards the back as it's Mr. Chip Helly had a spin at the final corner and has come into the pits. So we got our first virtual safety car now. Yeah. We've seen Mr. Chip Helly come into the pits. I think that is it. But it was sort of at the wrong moment for everybody.
It was a bit strange, actually, because I switched to Lewis Craig just then, and it seemed to be going rather slowly down the start-finish straight, so I wonder if they've had a little coming together, and he's just, waited up for him just a little bit.
Quite possibly. So the race neutralised then, for a, random amount of time once the incident's cleared, so it has cleared, so hopefully we will get the virtual safety car ending soon, but... Is this going to this is great for the likes of Court for the likes of Down the Man. Court getting past Down the Man as well before the virtual safety car. So the two of them on the soft tyres, maybe if this virtual safety car lasts a bit longer, they will be able to peel into the pits and get rid of those soft, perhaps put a set of hards on, but not obviously lose as much time during the virtual safety car.
Yeah, the thing with the virtual safety car is like the delta sometimes is a bit weird, and like I don't know if you've had it before, it like just jumps down to like 0 and softy comes into the pits.
Wow, that's early. On the medium tyres, Softy clearly feeling like this virtual safety car is going to be lasting a long time, but they're racing again. They're racing again already. Softy's in the pits, Matt Tibos is in the pits. This is, well, brave.
Yeah, he's gone to the hard tyres, hoping to get a long stint now to the end of the race. I'm guessing, I'm not sure how they will fare towards the end, but yeah, he must have thought I'm going to get an advantage with the virtual safety car here, which would have like gained a huge one if it had have stayed out, but it was just a bad decision, I think, and we'll see if Cam can pull away now, because he's got a decent lead on Court, who has just got a penalty for corner cutting.
Well, he's got a massive chance, Cam, now. If he can get his head down, this could work out brilliantly in his favour. Because Softy's come out in traffic as well. He's come out right behind Lewis Craig. And he's not going to be able to overtake him straight away, is he? No! Into the chicane. Softy. Oh, this is bold. This is bold. This could change the complexion of the race.
Yeah, it could really do with clearing these cars that he's coming up to as soon as possible, really, because that time at the front is just getting longer and longer. He's currently 23 seconds behind the leader of Cam, but with the DRS he's just eased past Lewis Craig, and he'll be hoping to make some inroads now, and we'll see if anyone else decides to come in for a penalty anytime soon. But they're all fairly like close together, like from about P2 downwards, and I think that's those battles at the moment before the pit stops.
Yeah, I think so. We've got Jack Hickey with DRS on Jovial Manatee, can't make the move, but let's not forget Court and Down the Man on soft tyre. I'm amazed that neither of them took that opportunity to pit, but clearly they didn't clearly they didn't think the hards would get that far, or they'd be able to do that sort of stint. I mean, Softy now is only just coming to turn 1, and Cam is just leaving turn 5, so it's a big ask. We got action going on, because Court Gill's run wide and Down the Man pounces and takes P2.
Yeah, a good move. Just as Court went right wide through the chicane, Down the Man came on the inside as he got a good run through the corner, and he's just managed to get past him. But Court has now got the DRS, and they're going down to Scary. I don't think he's going to be able to mount another challenge, but we'll see down the start finish straight if he can make a move there, or if he can get a good run out of here and get Down the Man just at the right time.
Yep, it's we've got all sorts of action going on. Look at this, Jovial Manatee trying on Court as well. Maybe Court's soft tyres are crying wolf, and they need to be taken away. But for the moment, at least, Court has hold on to P3. Are we going to see either of the soft shod runners coming to the pits? Are we going to see Down the Man coming into the pits, having just made that move on Court? Fancies getting into the pits, getting rid of those tyres and getting out ahead. But Jack Hickey fancies Jovial Manatee and might fancy a go at Court as well, as if he's very late on the brakes. He is late on the brakes, but it's only good enough to get past Jovial Manatee. And look at this, the Confessor's coming back at him as well. The Confessor onto the grass, the two Irishmen wheel to wheel as we head round Curva Grande, and the Confessor's well placed, you'd have to say, to make the move and move up ahead of Jovial Manatee, and indeed he does. He doesn't need the braking zone. The Confessor up to P4.
Yeah, he's done well after that earlier incident to fight his way back up, and he's now on the back of Jack Hickey and Court Gill. So we'll see what the Confessor decides to do now, because he could still be in this fight for potentially P2. It depends on how much of an undercut Softy has got on the leader of Cam.
Yeah, well, let's see how that goes. Jack Hickey, meanwhile, is fancying a bit of P2, but into the Ascari chicane, thinks better of it. But this is giving an opportunity for the Confessor to get a bit closer now, and Jack Hickey's going to have to watch this. Down the Man, meanwhile, came out of the pits in P13 behind Matt Tibos and the Soft Cop, so he is about 8 seconds behind Soft Cop. So, Cam Cam's round. Something's happened to Cam. Unbelievable. The man who seems to suddenly have this race in control has bottled it, and he's had to come into the pits. I don't know if he's got damage. Court Gill's coming to the pits as well, but unseen by us. We saw him returning back onto the track, and what we can only presume was he just had a spin. That's disastrous for Cam.
Yeah, and these drivers have just got all the benefit of that. Jack Hickey, the Confessor.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, look at the Confessor now, and Jack Hickey, the man who was once battling for the lead of this race, does end up taking the lead of the race as he moved up ahead of Jack Hickey, but worth noting that he hasn't made his pit stop just yet. Neither of these top 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 have made a pit stop just yet.
Yeah, and that gap to the leader is 13 seconds, so that was 23 seconds, and Softy has closed in by over 10 seconds, like during all that carnage with Cam going round. So I wonder if it slowed the pack down that much, and Softy's benefited from it massively.
Well, what's so huge about this as well is Cam not only came out behind Court, who pitted at the same time, but he came out behind Dan the Man. You know, he was about 3 or 4 seconds up the road from Dan when he pitted, so it's gone disastrously for Cam, who's going to have to rely on another safety car or virtual safety car interference in this race to really help. But I tell you, there's a gaggle of cars who will be really hoping for another virtual safety car, and that's this top 5, who, well, the top 3 mainly, who all of them are second of each other. Oh, look at this, Confessor pits!
Yeah, he comes into the pits. Probably going on to the, I'd say the soft tyres, I'm guessing, because he's stretched that run out. It's gone brilliantly for him, even though he had that little contact into turn 1 with Cam. We could see a real battle here at the end if he can be just in line with Softy, but he's just going by now, and I think Softy's going to retain the lead fairly comfortably this race.
Yeah, well, that's not very good news for us watching this, but I'm sure Softy will be very pleased to have a comfortable race lead again, because for a moment it didn't look like it was going to be that way, but nonetheless...
And Cam's overtaken the Confessor as he comes out of the pits. So we do have just a little battle here between these two still on the soft tyres, so let's see how this unfolds. But Dan the Man and Matt Tibos have also undercut these two, so we'll see how it goes, and Court Gill is just keeping on the back of these now. We still have 5 cars yet to pit, so this is not the final standings of the race.
The Confessor's on the softs.
Yeah, he went to the softs, and he did 9 laps on those mediums, and Dan the Man, I think, and Court did about 7, 8, so he might be thinking I can stretch this out a little bit.
Well, I didn't expect that, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, hopefully for the sake of the race, it's a blinder, because look how close the Confessor is to Cam. This is extraordinary. And Cam is on those softs as well, but he's got to make them go that extra lap further.
Yeah, and they're both just like more than a second behind the cars in front, so it's just going to be a case of who's faster out of Cam and Confessor, who's closing right in on the back of him coming through the Parabolica, and we'll have DRS and a load of ERS to overtake him down this back straight, and it looks like he's going to go for it now.
Yeah, he barely needed it. Yeah, he's just sauntered past. Maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
so now we see. Well, Cam does have around 20% ERS, and the Confessor had 80, so that was fairly comfortable for him.
I have to say, what's really interesting, Matt Tibos pitted under the VSC as well, but he's gaining, obviously he's putting a lot of pressure on Dan the Man now, who pitted later than him, but also this pair is gaining on Softy. So maybe those hard tyres aren't working very well for Softy.
Well, yeah, I think the gap's closed down by around 2 seconds almost. And Alistair Bain's out.
Well, it's a safety car. It's a full safety car. That is music to Jack Hickey and Jovial Manatee's ears, who get a free pit stop. My goodness me, persistence paid.
Yeah, I think they're around 14 seconds ahead of the soft cop, and we'll see in this pit stop they'll have around 18 seconds, I reckon, roughly. So they might come in just behind this fight for the lead, and ahead of Dan the Man and Matt Tibos for that.
This is extraordinary. I mean, you know, it's just one thing after another in this race, and here they come. They're coming into the pits. The soft cop is just coming around the Parabolica now. These two, they're going to be second and third, aren't they? And they're going to be on brand new soft against Softy on old hards, unless Softy pits as well, of course. Maybe he will. He has. Yeah, Softy's pitted.
Yeah, so he's hards obviously not doing the job.
He's going to relinquish track position. Matt Tibos, has he stayed out?
Slowing well down, and the Confessor just overtaken. It was just a bit of a confusion, I think.
Yeah, I was watching Jack Hickey in the pit, so I have to be honest with you, I didn't see what went on there. But Matt Tibbles is the race leader, Confessor second, Cam third. Then we've got Jack Hickey and Joe Manatee who've just pitted. Softcop's going to come out eighth. He got away with that because quite a number of people, including Dan the Man, came into the pit to make the most of this safety car. So Softy now on brand new soft tyres. To give you an idea of what we're seeing here, let's have a look at the tyre age. So Softy, brand new soft tyres. Dom Smith on 1 lap old soft tyres. Dan the Man, Court Gill, Court pitted as well. Machine Island, Big Boy Ewan, Lewis Craig, and Mr. Chiapelli and Jack Pearson all came into the pits to put on fresh softs as well. So the top 7 didn't pit under the safety car. Now they include Matt Tibos, who's on 6 lap old medium tyres, who leads the race, and Speed Kai in 7th place on 2 lap old medium tyres. So we are going to have, by the time the safety cars come into the pit, I'm presuming at the end of the next lap, we'll be finishing lap number 13, starting lap number 14, and we will have 6 laps of racing.
Yeah, so at the minute, Matt Tibos is just going to want to hold off Confessor as long as he possibly can. And Cam, like, as well, is wanting to make the overtake as soon as he can. Because the soft cop is down in 8th, and they can both benefit massively from this. I haven't seen any message about the safety car just yet, but it doesn't look like they're backing off at the minute. And Matt Tibos is obviously stayed out, so Jack Hickey and Jovial Manatee didn't actually come out in this podium positions, and they're going to want to get really racy to try and get that win now. Yeah,
quite. This is setting itself up really nicely for quite a dramatic end to this race. So let's see where we end up. Thank you very much for joining us for the ride thus far. You've got plenty more to come. We're going to see another tour behind the safety car. Matt Tibbles, your race leader. New Zealand Cam, let's not forget, was in the lead of this race. Spun, had to pit, and is now in 3rd place. And the Confessor, who, let's not forget, at the very beginning of the race, was in the battle for the lead, spun and is in 2nd place. The man who gambled on the VSC earlier in the race, soft cop, put the hard tyres on, gained back that track position then when everyone came into the pits, pitted again under this safety car, now runs 8th place. Your highest runner, well, he's not the highest runner because Jack Hickey and Jovial Manatee, let's not forget, pitted during that safety car as well. So they're 4th and 5th on brand new soft tyres. This is going to be a fantastic finale to this race.
Yeah, I think everyone in the field is going to be fighting for this one. All just going to be scrambling at the safety car restart. I was just looking at the race director, and the only person in the title fight that has any track extensions or anything is the Confessor, and they only have 1 at the moment in time. So hopefully we don't have any penalties that decide this race for us, but I think we're in for a really tense end to this race.
I think you're right. I'm looking forward to this one. So don't forget, during the small little interlude that we've got, do let us know where you're watching from and who's watching. We've had a shout out from Stereogram already. Great for you to join us on this fine autumn evening. The safety car's coming in this lap. And make sure you stick around after this race as well, because as we said, we're travelling across the other side of the world, really. We're going to Singapore. Where we're going to have a one-shot qualifying race followed by a 25%, and we have got cars weaving to get some heat into their tyres, and it's going to be Matt Tibos who's going to lead us around to complete lap number 13 and start the restart.
Yeah, I think this is a really important restart. If Matt Tibos can get the jump on the Confessor, he might be able to drag his mediums out long enough to the softs wearing out, because the Confessor is on 3 lap old tyres, and we'll just see, because the safe car is not quite in just yet, so the limiter could be on. And as Matt Tibos comes around right now, he's not floored it just yet, he's just waiting.
He's waiting, isn't he?
He's gone.
There he goes! Right, we're back underway then. Let's see who's got the best restart. The Confessor not necessarily has, but he's trying to stay in the wheel tracks of Matt Tibos in front. As meanwhile, Jovial Manatee's getting racy with Jack Hickey. The two have pitted just before the safety car. They are battling into turn 1, but Jack Hickey holds on to it, and the top 3 have stayed the same as well. Jovial Manatee still giving Jack Hickey a headache, as Softcop has avoided damage and is still in 8th place.
Yeah, just as it went side by side with Dom Smith going into turn 1, there was a little bit of contact in the second part of that chicane, but no damage, as you say, and he's 2 tenths behind the next car in front, and Cam is just keeping with the back of the Confessor, but Matt Tibos has lost out massively after that restart, and he's gone in 3rd place.
Yeah, unseen by us, we have to admit, but Matt Tibos is struggling on those old mediums. He's dropped to third already, but the Confessor leading Cam in second. And we got a car off there. That was Jonas. He's dropped behind Jovial Manatee, who must have had a problem with Jack Hickey at one point to drop behind Jonas, but it's not very good for Jonas, who now drops into sixth place. And here comes Softcop down into the Ascari chicane. Softcop is up to sixth place already.
Yeah, he's gone down the inside of Jonas there as he got off the track, probably getting all that gravel off his tyres. But he's in a good position now, Softcop. He's not lost a second to any of the cars, so he's keeping with the leaders right now, and it's just a case of who can manage the DRS better. And I think we'll have DRS active again this lap soon. But Matt Tibos is doing all right now. He seems to have settled into it. But we're just having the cars following each other very closely. And Jonas is right on the back of Courtgill going into turn one. He's going to try it around the outside. He goes really late on the brakes and he's down the inside. And they're so close, and see if he gets some of the traction out of here. But
he's on the grass.
Tires. Yeah. Court's on the burning his ERS, and Speed Kai's just watching from behind these two. Brilliant seat. And Jovial Manatee has managed to pull that off. I think.
Meanwhile, Softcop has made his way past Jovial Manatee up into fifth place, and Jack Hickey has made his way up into third. We've got a car off further back, but the green flag's now back out when we're under racing. We're struggling to keep up with all that's going on at the moment because Softcop has now got Matt Tibos on his sides, and then it's a sides at the podium. So the Softcop then against Matt Tibos on worn medium tyres on his brand new soft has disposed of Jovial Manatee and now sets his sights on a top four place. And surely it's going to be like taking candy from a baby. Look how Matt Tibos is struggling as we head towards the Parabolica. Softy doesn't even need the DRS, and he's up into fourth place.
Yeah, he's glided by him there, and he's just doing what he needs to do right now. He has burnt a lot of the ARS compared to the three ahead of him, who are all like saving it as such. They've got about 80% between them, and DRS has enabled this lap. Softcop with the fastest lap, and he's going on Jack Hickey now into turn one. So he's clearly not wanting to mess around, and he wants this win.
Yep, Jack Hickey put up no fight there really. He couldn't have stand the man. Is making a move further back into turn number one. Is he? And he's side by side with, I think that was Speed Kai on those old medium tyres. But Softcop in the last two laps has made up 5 places. And now it's staring down the top 3. And Cam knows this. He knows he needs to displace the Confessor because in a minute he's going to have a freshly shod softy on soft tyres right on his arse.
Yeah, so that pit stop under the safety car seems to be working out right now because the Confessor and Cam's on 7-lap-old softs and the Confessor's on 6-lap-old. Well, soft is there on 4-lap-old tyres. And he's got the DRS on him now, and he's just going to try and use this superior grip through Ascari and probably get a decent run down onto him. But like I said, the two ahead have been saving the ARS. Confessor is currently on about 90%, so he's clearly awaiting this battle that is coming their way.
Yep, Cam is using all of the racetrack to try and keep Softy behind. These two, first and second in the championship, let's not forget, with the Confessor trying to make up ground that he lost earlier in the season. The Confessor trying as best he can to keep the two behind him, but look at the grip advantage that the Softcop's got. We are about to start lap 17 of 19, 3 laps to go. Softy is setting fastest lap after fastest lap. Cam and Softy both gaining on the Confessor as they come into turn number 1. The Confessor's got defensive. Softy nearly hits the back of Cam. He's up the inside of Cam. Cam holds on. These two side by side through the first couple of corners. Cam gets scribbly on the exit. Softy does the same. But for the moment, they stay second and third.
Yeah, it looked like Cam's breaker just caught Softy out there into turn 1, which is no good. Neither of them wants to hit one another. But Softy had to dive down the inside, and it looked like he had the move done. But they both had a little moment as Cam gets his wheels on the gravel there, going through that section. And he'll be wanting to hold Softy off even more because he knows if Softy gets by, he's not going to keep his championship lead.
No, he knows what he needs to do. He knows the difference that he's got to make right now. He's got to keep that Softcop car behind him, and at the moment he's trying everything he can to do that, but it's difficult. Softy on those fresher soft tyres. These three have been giving it everything this race. We saw all 3 of them together at the very start, but the Confessor ruined that little trio. But now they're all together again, but in opposite orders. And Cam, his eyes are going to be glued to that mirror. They've dropped Jack Hickey, who's on, well, comparable fresh tyres to the Softcop. But look how much Cam is struggling now in comparison to Softy.
Yeah, I think the age of the tyres is coming into it now, but he's got a good run and it looks like he's closing in on the Confessor, but the Softcop is still closing even with the DRS and the ERS. So we'll see. But Cam goes around the outside of the Confessor, but he's got a really good run through here, and I think he's got it. He's got the move done. So now
excellent
we'll see
stuff.
who's got more pace, Cam or the Confessor. But Softy is still there, and he's burning the ARS now, going through this first sector. And how we're going to get, he's going to try and go down the inside. Oh, and he starts to switch back because there's just no room there, and he's got to wait for the next opportunity as the Confessor gets around the outside of Cam again. So they're just flip-flopping right now.
We're on the penultimate lap of the race. Any one of these three drivers could still win this race. And let's not count out Jack Hickey, because while the three of these guys are battling, he is starting to close into this leading battle. He's just a second behind now. In a minute, he's going to get the DRS benefit. But someone who is desperate to use his ERS and DRS benefit is the soft cop. He's all over the back of Cam. Cam and the Confessor traded places at the start of this lap. We've got just over 1 lap to go. Softy is climbing all over the back of Cam. He's using his ERS anywhere he can to try and make an advantage. He almost touch, and as they head towards the Parabolica, Softy is going to have the inside line, and he's going to be in prime place to take the lead of the race. Cam tries to hold around the outside, but he can't quite do it. These two side by side, and this could be perfect for the Confessor. But as we head on to the start-finish straight, Cam has almost used all of his battery and has got nothing to attack with.
Yeah, he looks to have spent all his energy, but he's looking to have another go at the soft cop here.
And Softy sends it to the inside! He's outbraked himself! He's off the road! And the man, he's picked up a 3-second penalty in doing so! That is disastrous for him! That is going to take him out of contention for not only the win, but for a podium! Because Jack Hickey is just 2 seconds adrift!
Yeah, it was a really opportunistic move from the soft cop. I think he wanted that win, and he saw an opportunity just there. He knows his ERS isn't the best, but he had the superior grip through Parabolica, and Cam just kept it in there. And he managed to get a decent run back out of there. So the soft cop went defensive, and I think he just wanted to make sure he had the move done, and he just happened to come up on the Confessor, and he's gone deep, and then he's got that penalty, unfortunately. But we'll see if Cam can come back at the Confessor and try and take this win for him. But the soft cop's still there, trying to get this move done. He doesn't care about this penalty. He wants to get it done on track.
Well, we've got a corner to go, and throughout all of this race, and even to now, we still don't know really what our top three is going to be. Softy still trying on Cam. He has made his way up at the outside of Cam, and they make contact. The soft cop runs wide, and Cam is back through into second place. But the Confessor, after a disastrous opening few laps where he went off the track, wins the race. New Zealand Cam comes home second. Jack Hickey will be third after the penalties applied to Softy, who drops down to fourth. Machine Island crosses the line fifth, but drops down, oh gosh, he drops down to 10th after penalties are applied. Down the man is 5th. Where did that come from? Jonas is 6th. Jovial Manatee dropped like a stone towards the end of this race in 7th place. Speed Kai is 8th. Matt Tibos, who had a similar fate to Jovial Manatee, was 9th. And Machine Island rounded out the top 10. But my goodness me, Sean, I mean, we're treated to a quality race at the weekend just gone in Formula 1 in real terms. And TGP1 has delivered just the same.
Yeah, a 3-car battle for the lead, that's exactly what you want to be seeing, and it's brilliant racing from them all. Like a bit of wheel banging, but like we don't mind a little bit of that here and there. Unfortunately, the soft cop has got a bit too eager, and he ended up with that penalty, but it still shows that we have got a title fight on here for the rest of the season, hopefully, and the soft cop is not just going to dominate for the rest of the races.
Well, it's what we like to see. So despite all of that, Cam actually extends his lead in the championship over the soft cop. And I did not expect to be saying that after qualifying, I have to say. But goodness me, what a race we were treated to. Let's give you a rundown then of the provisional orders. So the Confessor is the race winner, with New Zealand Cam in second, Jack Hickey taking that third place. The soft cop was fourth and also set the fastest lap, so an extra point is coming his way. Dan the Man was fifth, Jonas in sixth, Jovial Manatee seventh, Speed Kai was in eighth, Matt Tibos in ninth. Machine Island were rounding out the top 10 with Court Gill 11th. Dom Smith in 12th, Mr. Chip Ellie 13th, and Lewis Craig picking up the last point in 14th. Then we have Jack Pearson 15th, Big Boy Ewan in 16th, and Alistair Bain in 17th, our only retiree.
Yeah, I think it was the Alistair incident that caused that safety car, and obviously Softy boxed under that, and he put on them fresh softs. And towards the end, when they got to about final lap of 8 laps, the tyre wear, it must have been on par with the other two, because he couldn't seem to get the same grip that he was getting the laps previous, where he was closing in. But he had to fight through that pack, and he had barely any ARS when he got up to the back of Cam and the Confessor, who both saved it brilliantly and had around 80% ready for when he got onto the back of them to defend from that.
Well, that was a treat. So we are well primed then for what is going to be, I'm sure, another entertaining race around the streets of Singapore. We have got, let's remind you, a one-shot qualifying that we will be doing, followed by a 25% race. So slightly shorter race and qualifying coming up for you in a few minutes' time.
And I'm just wondering, what do you think of the new configuration of the Singapore circuit?
That's an interesting question. I think that it is. How can I put this? I think it was interesting. I mean, certainly in theory, it should create more overtaking opportunities. However, I just think with the corner that they're coming out from and the fact that it's got a kink quite early on into it just really does limit the overtaking opportunities there. And actually, you know what? I quite liked the bit that's taken out. It was very challenging, and towards the end of the lap, particularly on a qualifying lap, if you nailed that, it felt fantastic. You felt like you were really putting a good lap together, and you can make or break so much, and the commitment you had to take coming into that corner, going underneath the grandstand, which I loved. I that whole section I thought was fantastic. So I think, although myself included, you look at the Singapore track map for years and you think, we'll just take that bit out and run all the way to that final chicane and you'll create another overtaking zone. But I don't think actually it works well enough. And I think that if they put DRS there, I think perhaps it would have been better. I'm sure there was a reason why they didn't. But I think that if DRS had gone in there, it would have made that a lot better. Yeah,
like increase the chance of more overtakes going into that little chicane at the end.
But it's only because that seemed to be why they did it. There was no other reason why you would have done it.
Yeah, it's like you say about the grandstand and everything. It's pretty iconic in the world of F1. So, and I get what you mean. It feels so good when you're going under there, the nice tight walls and everything. Like any mistake you make, your race is pretty much ruined. But the track time has been chopped. What we're about by about 13
seconds. 15 seconds. It's crazy.
So I think it's a good change in terms of I guess getting the race over and done with, just a little bit faster for them, save a little bit of money that way. But I think,
what, on the lights?
Yeah, probably.
Turn the lights off sooner.
Yeah.
Save on the electricity bill.
Yeah, that'll be it. But I think we'll have a close qualifying going into this one shot, and it's about who can get nailed that one lap into it. And I think Confessor, Cam and Softy are your three drivers that can definitely do that over the course of a lap.
Well, they're the ones that can certainly make a difference, and they'll be looking to. Well, we're getting started in probably about 2 or 3 minutes' time, so hopefully you're all well refreshed and ready to see some action. You're going to have to bear with us. Spectating and commentating over a one-shot qualifying is nigh on impossible, so please just try and make out what we can.
Because the order jumps all over the place until you get about halfway into the lap where everyone's just sort of got the rhythm. Yeah.
So obviously setup's going to be quite interesting. We've seen a few wet races in Singapore in the past. Worthwhile reminding you all, there's going to be no safety car enabled during this session. Of this race, I should say.
Yeah, I think the 25% are just that little bit too short to have a safety car involved. Maybe a VSC if it could just be on its own, but that's about it.
Right. Everybody. Drivers now getting themselves ready, getting some setups tweaked.
I think it's still a fairly high downforce track. It's just who's willing to run that bit lower wings on the rear, especially to get that straight line speed and get these overtakes made around this Singapore circuit.
Well, I suppose one thing that's worth bearing in mind, and correct me if I'm wrong, but with the fact that we've got this new straight now, is it almost worth running a low downforce setup because there's potentially 5 overtaking zones now, realistic? I mean, is that worth a go?
Well, maybe, but you still go through that tight bridge section and the hairpin, so you need to be able to get the car turned when you go into that section, especially.
Right then. Well, good luck, everybody. You're reading the left tower in exactly the same way I am. I'm watching Jack Hickey at the moment, so unsurprisingly, though, we have got Softy leading the queue with New Zealand Cam and the Confessor up there as well, and Matt Tibos, who's made a good start to his lap.
Well, on mine, the soft cop's down in 15th, and Cam and Confessor are first and second at the moment at this time, and then Softy jumps up to the top, so mine must have just refreshed.
Yep. Oh, and Cam made a mistake there, actually. As I just cut to him, he was very wide on the exit of turn number 7. Look, he's dropped down to 8th. Disastrous for him. Matt Tibos losing a bit of ground there as well. But at the moment, we've got Soft Cop, the Confessor, and Machine Island is your top 3. We are now riding on board with the Confessor. Oh, and that was a big snap of oversteer from the Confessor as he makes his way through the hairpin. Big boy Ewan up there around the top 5 as well. Machine Island's just jumped ahead of the Confessor. The Soft Cop, though, unsurprisingly, still leading the way. But we've got this new long straight now we're coming through, so we're not going to see this tricky chicane sequence. Let's see who's running minimal downforce as the long straight stretches in front of them. And we've got just a handful of corners to go. Soft Cop making his way through them already, though, in complete control. And surely, barring any last-minute lap invalidations or crashes, he's going to take pole position, and he does, by 7/10 of a second from Machine Island, and the Confessor in P3 down around 4th, and Cam recovered a bit in the end to P5. John is P6, Matt Tibos P7, Court 8th, Big Boy Ewan 9th, and Jovial Manatee 10th, Jack Hickey 11th, Lewis Craig 12th, Dom Smith 13th, and Speed Kai were racing to cross the line in 14th, and we lost Jack Pearson, Mr. Chip Helly, and Alistair Bain, who all got disqualified for corner cutting issues. Well, in the end, the one-shot qualifying didn't really throw up the mixed squid that we'd expected, but nonetheless, I certainly enjoyed watching that. It was a bit chaotic, but it was good fun.
Yeah, I think throughout most of that lap, the Confessor and Machine Island were practically neck and neck the whole way through. I didn't see but if Confessor had a little bit of a moment, because he managed to drop down, and he's only, a 100th of a second away from the Confessor, so it'll be close on that second row of the grid. But Cam, having a bit of a poor one, had a little moment that we didn't quite catch. We'll see who can bring this onto the race. But Softy had another dominant qualifying display, 6/10 this time, so we'll see if he can either run away from it or if Machine Island can sling it up the inside into turn 1.
Well, we shall but see. Hopefully we'll be treated to another very good race. Do remember to let us know where you're watching from and your thoughts are during the race, and we'll do our best to read as many comments as we can. But we've got a 25% race coming up, and I'm sure we're going to be treated to a good spectacle on what is, as always, a very popular track amongst the drivers.
Oh, wet tyres in the pit lane.
So there is. They've just gone to dries. Okay.
That was strange.
Well, maybe the game giving us a little hint of what we could see. Quite possibly. We'll keep an eye on that. Good spot there, I have to say, Sean.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a strange one. It does look really dry, and I think we are on for a good race here. I think the tyre wear is fairly high, again, at Singapore, like it is on most of the F1 games, and we'll just see who goes with which strategy, and maybe we get a bit of weather and it spices it up a little bit for us.
Jacko's just suggested that Softy should run preset setups only next season. I'm all for that. But let's see how we get on. The original night race and the night fighters are on the grid. We've got 3, 4, 5 lights, and under the lights we're underway, and it's a good getaway from Soft Cop again, and Machine Island hasn't got away too well. Jovial Manatee's got away well further back, and Machine Island's going to challenge Softy into turn number 1. He thinks about it, he nearly makes contact. The Confessor has to bail out of it, and we've got Johners making a move further back, but down the man is in 4th place ahead of Cam, and Cam hasn't made the sort of ground up that he wanted thus far, and Cam is actually under pressure from Johners behind, but he just about keeps him at bay as we got further back. Jack Pearson and Lewis Craig getting a bit racy, but Jack Hickey not making the sort of start he wanted, but Cam is up against him with Johners, and as they head towards turn number 7, Johners on the inside. Cam tries to hold it around the outside. He just about keeps it on the road and just about keeps 5th place.
Yeah, I just went on board with that little midfield battle that's going off still at the moment between Johners down to Jovial Manatee and Big Boy Ewan were getting alongside Matt Tibos through that section, and he's looking really racy. But we've caught Jill also on the back of this little gaggle, and any mistakes that anyone makes, they'll be looking to take advantage of. And then we've got Cam just coming through under the bridge, but someone's spun, and it's Machine Island. He's gone round under the bridge.
The man who was in P2 has had a disaster, and we saw all the cars taking evasive action, but it's a disaster for the green machine as he gets himself back going again, but down in last place. And Softy has got a 2.3 second gap because of that. Maybe there was contact between him and the Confessor. We don't want to speculate because we didn't see, but nonetheless, disaster for Machine Island. And Cam's now looking a bit racy on the back of Down the Man.
Yeah, it could have been that, but Softy did have the pace, and rightly so, 2.5 seconds in one lap. There must have been a little incident through that section for the Confessor, but he has got a close group down to 8th place, just behind him, and he's going to want to close that gap to the soft cop. But the majority of the field all going with the same start.
Look at Cam though, Sean. Look at Cam, sorry to interrupt you, but he's getting so racy with Down the Man, and he forces Dan into a mistake, and he does the cutback, and 3rd place is his, and now he can set his sights on the Confessor, and maybe Soft Cop a bit further up the road.
Yeah, he got round Down the Man there, and it's going well for him. He obviously dropped back a little in them first laps, but he's getting in his little rhythm now, and I think he should get past the Confessor, because it looks like he has more pace at this moment in time, because the Confessor is just dropping further and further back from the soft cop ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe the Confessor does have damage and that's why he's dropping back, but this is alarming. It's 3 seconds. We haven't even completed lap 2 yet. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, at this rate, the soft cop might end up being able to 2 pit stops, but let's hope not. Let's hope he has.
Yes, he does. I think I can see damage. Oh, no, sorry, that was just the light.
Confessor. No,
that was just the lighting.
Yeah, I think he got away with that. But Cam is all over the back of him now, only 2 tenths between them, but it doesn't seem to be closing, so maybe the Confessor running a little bit lower wings. But Cam is looking to stick with him here, and DRS will be activated this lap.
Yep, Soft Cop running away with this one so far, 3.2 seconds. And DRS has been enabled, as you said, and that will be music to Cam's ears, because he's going to want to clear the Confessor as soon as possible. That mistake he made in qualifying put him further down the grid than he would have wanted to have been. And this man, does he have a pacemaker in his car? Because this is unbelievable. How has he not had a heart attack, the amount of moments he's had?
Yeah, I didn't quite catch that, but from your reaction, I was guessing that is what had happened. And Dan the Man has managed to get right on the back of him again and keep this battle going for 2nd place. And Jill just made a move on Jovial Manatee going into that section too.
Yeah, Jack Hickey now well primed to try and make the most of Jovial Manatee. Most of the drivers, it must be said, par 3, all running the medium tyres, and so unsurprisingly really, given the 25% race, more likely than not going to see medium to soft as a stint. Cam, meanwhile, after finishing his giving commentators a heart attack, is now turning his attention back to the Confessor and P2.
Yeah, Cam's really wanted to make this move for the past couple of laps now. He's really burnt to DRS. He's down to around 30% right now, and the Confessor is still saving around 70%, but he's just used it then, and they're alongside each other. So see who gets latest on the brakes going into it. He'll have to be really brave, but I think Cam decides better of it and to just follow for one more.
Yep, Jack Pearson's picked up a penalty, as has Big Boy Ewan so far through the grid.
And the man's closed back in on the DRS going through that final corner.
Yeah, that's...
So he's keeping in it.
Yeah, it's brilliant for Dan because he's able to use it as a defence from Johners. It won't be good for Johners, but Johners just 2 tenths of a second behind in... actually, it was quite an attractive looking car, I have to say. Good work, Johners. But Down the Man, keeping around that 1 second bubble, is allowing him DRS to defend. And Big Boy Ewan sat just behind as Cam goes again.
Yeah, we've got just the race settling down just a little bit. They're all just following each other. I think it's all down to the ARS management at this point. Softy obviously is just cruising ahead 0.5 seconds, sorry. So I think he might have this race considering if he doesn't have any moments, but I think Cam could have done with saving his ERS just a little bit or taking a few more opportunities, and obviously he got a bit squirrely on the power like you said. He just needs to keep a calm head and he can make this move.
He seems to be most most of the time he seems to make up seems to be over the Anderson Bridge over the Confessor. The Confessor really struggling around that section, maybe not able to be quite as precise as Cam, but this gives Cam an opportunity here now. If he gets... that's lag on the Confessor there. It looked like he was going straight into the wall, but Cam needs to save his ERS for this moment here. This is where he can make the difference on the Confessor, I feel, in this new straight before what is now the final chicane.
Yeah, they're nose to tail through every lap at the minute, and Cam just can't find the answer, and DRS doesn't actually seem to be helping all that much, so they must have really similar setups on at this moment. But yeah, it's just calming down just a little bit, but Dan's finally lost a second, but he might pull it back just because Cam is having to brake a bit earlier for the Confessor going into each corner. So we'll just wait and see how this race unfolds.
Yep, good opportunity for Cam now though, just half a second back. Good opportunity for Jonas. Now Dan's lost the DRS as they head down Raffles Boulevard towards turn number 7. It's as they were then, and in Jonas' battle as well. So the race, as you said, Sean, settling down. Drivers just sort of getting into a bit of a groove.
We had Luke trying to move around the outside of Jovial Manatee, but he just ran wide and it allowed Jovial Manatee to get back past him.
Good stuff. Well done for keeping an eye on that. And meanwhile, back to the battle for second, which is one of the closest battles on track at the moment. Jack Pearson's retired. As we said, no safety car in this race. But as you see, the Confessor's just having to go defensive into that hairpin, and it's costing him. And Cam's got a great opportunity now, but I think he needs to save himself for the next straight. As long as he can get a good accident out of this corner, I think P2 could be his here.
Yeah, it's just picking the right moment, and at the minute they just look pretty even on pace all round. Like all the straight line speed, the Confessor's able to just hold him off down each straight at the minute. The Confessor has burnt a little bit of his ERS now, so he's down to around 40% and Cam's around 30%, so only 10% difference. I think if Cam can keep it clean, he can close in and get the overtake done, but it's not actually enough because Softy has well and truly gone up the road, and that's his main title challenger.
Well, I think the best thing that Cam can hope for now is getting past the Confessor and minimising the gap that Softy's going to close in by in this championship fight. I think you're right about the Confessor running higher wings. I tend to agree with that. Seeing where he seems to be, lower rings. Seeing where he seems to be quicker than Cam at, I'd suggest that that's where he's struggling, is in the these sorts of corners. Oh! And the Confessor's in the wall! The Confessor's out of the race! We saw a bit of a lag spike there from our camera angle. Maybe inadvertently Cam punted him into the wall, but again, we don't want to hypothesize. But I tell you what, if he did, it's made a very good improvement for Cam, because it looks like he's got no damage, and he's got his main roadblock out of the way. But disaster for the Confessor. Having won in Monza, he's going to get nil points in Marina Bay.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, and Cam doesn't look like he's got any damage there, but like you say, it looked like there was just a little lag spike, and all I saw was the Confessor spinning. It literally looked like he were on ice, and he went straight into the barrier and he's out of the race, and very unfortunate because we could have had a battle on for second for the rest of this race, but now your top three is separated fairly well, so no one has DRS, and the battle behind P3 is Jonas and Ewan, and they're just keeping in touch with him now. But what could have been from this race so far, but we'll just see how long it is till the pit stops happen, and if Softcock ends up in any traffic, that might also affect the outcome of this.
Yeah, we are now about halfway through this race, and the closest battle we got on track at the moment is the battle for what is now third place. This time last lap it was a battle for fourth, but these guys, seasoned TGP drivers, now in a battle for third. Jonas versus Dan the Man, with Big Boy Ewan still within a second of them, but with a penalty to serve, and Jack Heath making up some good ground as well, up in P7 after qualifying P11.
Yeah, I think everyone's just had a few of their own little moments in this race, because Singapore can be quite a tricky track when it comes to the traction zones, and I know a lot of the drivers run no traction control, and they might be struggling just a little bit here with either the tyre wear or temperatures. Yeah,
I think you're probably right, and so it's good to see drivers, broadly speaking, staying within the white lines and staying well behaved. Hopefully we see that for the rest of the race. Been a good race thus far, but as you said, can't hide our disappointment that we've lost quite a key driver from this race through what looked like no fault of his own. No fault of Cam's as well, it must say.
It'll be pretty interesting to see the on-boards later on.
Yep, I would imagine that one will go to the stewards, so we will keep you abreast of what's happening in the stewards room. So keep an eye on the TGP Series Twitter account as Johners comes into the pits, as does Big Boy Ewan. Our first pitters then.
Yeah, it's a really tricky pit entrance actually. It's very easy to either cross the line or jump over the curbs as such, and then get it down to, I think it's around 36 mile per hour speed limit. So it's a big ask, and we're lucky that no one's got a penalty just there, so it keeps the fight on. And they've gone to the soft tyres.
Jack Hickey coming into the pits as well, and so let's see where Johners comes out. He's Machine Island, remember him, has just gone past, and Johners is going to come out, by the looks of it, in 9th place, just behind Alistair Bain. When will we see soft cockpit, do we reckon? He's got a 6-second advantage over Cam. Cam can barely even see him in front of him now as they head towards the Singapore Sling. But do we see Softy trying to extend as much as he can, or is that too much of a risk to take with the walls so close?
I think he'll wait until he feels like he's losing time to any of the people undercutting. Obviously, he's got quite a clear lead at this moment in time, so he might choose to pit sooner rather than later and hope he doesn't get any traffic. But he might just wait out all the other pit stops and get a nice bit of clean air and the net lead.
Yep, I think you could be onto something there, Sean, but let's see how this one plays out. We've got a couple of battles on track. We've got Johners, who's closing up onto the back of Alistair Bain on those fresh soft tyres. Alistair Bain running very close to the wall. Johners running up the inside, and as they head into the hairpin, P8 is Johners.
And here comes Big Boy Ewan straight down the inside Alistair Bain as well, coming out that hairpin. So both making use of the fresh soft tyres on the 7-lap old mediums.
And look at this, Sean. Softy and Cam in the pits.
Yeah, I think it's the right decision. Either way, I'm not sure the lap that Cam pitted would actually affect his chances of catching up to Softy at this moment. But it's a long race, and we'll see how it goes. Interesting,
I think, that Dan the Man stayed out. Obviously, in that battle with Johners and Ewan, the two of them pitting the lap before, maybe just thinking, well, I'll extend as much as I can now and have the fresh soft advantage. I can't think of any other reason why he would have stayed out.
Yeah, well, we know in this game that the tyre wear is so big, and having that lap fresher tyres actually does tend to help you in high wear circuits. Dan the Man, obviously, track position is quite key here at Singapore, but he might feel I can just go do a really good push on my in-lap and maybe keep the position he's in and have the fresher tyres. And he's got an 11-second gap to Jovial Manatee, so he's got no worries of defending. It's just about seeing what he does at the end of this, which I think he will come into the pits now.
Meanwhile, a bit further back, we are watching Matt Tibos on the hard tyres, interestingly enough. Staying within a second of Speed Kai, but maybe with that tyre disadvantage with Kai on the mediums, struggling to find a way past the man in front of him. So, yeah. Sorry, Carol.
Just under that pit stop, it looks like Cam's managed to knock 2 seconds off a softy, to be honest. I think that's just on the pit entrance alone, just not being too cautious and trying to get the most advantage that he could while entering them.
Yeah, it's a good spot, actually. The gap now down to 4.7 on the soft tyres. We saw Cam setting a purple with etc. as well as Dan the Man and Jovial Manatee now choose this time to come into the pits. We're keeping an eye on Johners. Where's Dan the Man? Dan the Man's just coming to the end, and pit lane speed limit is off, and he has dropped behind Big Boy Ewan and Johners. Where's he going to come out in relation to Court Gill? That could be quite interesting. Court Gill.
They might be alongside. Maybe. Oh, Dan's just got ahead of him here.
But Dan's going to be on cold tyres. This could be, well, Court could be in a good position here. His tyres are up to speed. Dan the Man does seem to have a slightly better battery situation, but Court's going to have DRS. He does, as they come onto Raffles Boulevard then, towards turn number 7, the first real overtaking zone for Court, and he has to stay put for the moment at least, and Dan the Man stays in 5th place.
Yeah, it is actually quite challenging having the cooler tyres when you exit the pit lane. Like, if you don't keep ahead of the car that has undercut you, like, they might end up just running a second away just from having the warmer tyres.
Yeah, it's a big offset, so it certainly brought a different challenge into racing for the last couple of games. But good to see.
He's being really brave, like really late on the brakes into these. He just wanted to keep with the back of Dan the Man and I think he's just risking it a bit much at this moment.
Yeah, you can see it's probably not really rewarding him any time either, because he's dropping back from down the man now and might well drop into the clutches of Jack Hickey. He has now dropped to under a second. Just as we thought Softy might have been struggling, he goes and sets the fastest lap.
Yeah, he's just got comfortable again. Obviously, when you're changing the tyres, it's all different grip level, and it looked like Cam had a little slide into turn 1 there, so I think he is pushing, and we're just like at a stalemate with the pace of the soft cop just being superior at this circuit.
Yeah, meanwhile, we've got a battle going on for 8th place. Speed Kai is ahead of Mr. Chiapelli, who is ahead of Matt Tibos. We've got 3 different tyre compounds being used as well, so we get a good idea of what they're all going through. Mr. Chiapelli sliding his way out turn number 3 as let's see what we can get as we go onto the main straight. Mr. Chiapelli with the DRS open, and surely he'll be closing in, and hopefully for his sake, being close to making a move on Kai into turn number 7, but not quite.
Yeah, it looked like he was gaining down that straight there, but obviously he's rinsed all his ERS pretty much. He's on just about 13%, and Key ahead is on 30%, so maybe just accepting this, but he's on 7 lap hold mediums, and then Matt Tibos' hards are 7 lap hold as well, and Mr. Chiapelli is only on 2 lap hold softs. So this could be very good for Mr. Chiapelli in terms of results for this season. I think it will be one of his better performances.
Yep, he's well primed now to take 8th place from Kai as we head down over the bridge and towards the braking zone. Mr. Chevrolet's going to hold it around the outside, a little bit of contact, and look at them, they're almost rubbing wheels. And as they get onto the exit, Mr. Chiapelli, with that extra grip from the fresh soft rubber, does find himself up into 8th place. But Kai is still there, not giving this one up yet, but by the time they hit the braking zone, that extra grip he gets during the critical zone on the brakes, he has moved ahead. Oh, and we got a smash! Matt Tibos has just hit the wall, and he has to bail off into the pits because he's lost his front wing. Disaster for him, as he's going to drop out of the points now, surely. Well, actually, he's got a huge gap to Alistair Bain, so he will stay probably in the top 13, and well, disaster for him. Meanwhile, we've got Jovial Manatee catching the back of Machine Island. Machine Island, who pitted quite early, if my memory serves me right, after those issues, and now got Jovial Manatee all over his back end.
Yeah, Machine Island had that little incident earlier on at the bridge on the first lap, I think, where he was spun all the way around. So he had a good recovery to get to P10 here. But Jovial Manatee all over him now, and he'll be hoping to make the move in the next couple of laps. But we do have Dan the Man also closing on the back of Big Boy Ewan, and Big Boy Ewan closing on the back of Johners again to resume their battle for P3.
Yeah, well, it's all going on, and Dan the Man, after staying out for a couple of extra laps, has put himself in a position where he could be gaining those positions back. We have got just over 3 laps to go. Softcop about to round the final couple of corners to start lap number 13. And Dan's going to have to keep an eye because it looks like Big Boy Ewan's got a bit of speed. Kai's left. Oh, that's disastrous. He was running in 9th, and the AI will take over. And sure enough, Machine Island.
We might have an incident.
Well, Machine Island's made his way up into 9th. Kai hasn't quite regained control yet. He's going to want to do it quickly, but Jovial Manatee's now through as well. Oh, he's lost 2 places. Disastrous for him. Meanwhile, Dan the Man is closing.
Yeah, they've both managed to close that gap down to under a second now, so they both have DRS down this straight. Dan the Man got slightly more ERS, as you can see, because Big Boy Ewan's light is flashing and he's closing on the back, and he's going to attempt it round the outside. And it's just not got enough momentum to carry him round, but he might have another pop if he's close enough. But no, I think Ewan's got it pretty well defended at this moment, and he's going to want to make an attack on Johners so he doesn't get swallowed up by Dan the Man.
Yeah, Big Boy Ewan, as you said, just within a second. Dan the Man's going to look up the inside of Singapore thing. No, thinks better of it, and doesn't want to end up breaking his suspension on the right or left-hand side, as Court Gill is only 2.5 seconds back from these two, so if there is any dramas, then we could well see Court get involved. But Big Boy Ewan just hovering around that second mark, and Johners maybe employing a bit of Carlos Sainz sort of tactics and keeping Big Boy Ewan with DRS to help defend against Dan the Man.
Yeah, maybe it's on purpose, as he'd say. But we do have him where he's dropped off now just to about a second, and Dan the Man's come down the inside of him down this straight, and he's made a move, and I think it's the only move we've seen down that straight tonight. And he's now going to be on the back of Johners and hoping to take that 3rd place and have another podium to his collection.
Yep, as they start the penultimate lap then, Dan the Man will have a handful of opportunities to make his way back up into the podium. It's roles reversed. Just before the pit stops, it was Johners who was putting the pressure onto Dan the Man, and now Dan the Man's putting the pressure onto Johners. Making that strategy work by staying out that little bit longer has allowed him to be in a position to fight for third place, and he's got a pace advantage.
Yeah, and they've both been burning the RS like so much that over these laps, like both under 10%. So for this closing lap, it's going to be down to who's got the more raw pace and potentially that tyre life. Dan the Man only on 4-lap old soft tyres, so that staying out that extra lap or so that he did, it seems to be paying off now towards the end of this race.
Yeah, he's really close to the back of that very pretty car. And we've got a issue. I think that's Alistair Bain has had an issue around the start-finish straight. I think he might be about to if he hasn't already.
No, he's back on the way.
Oh, look at this. Look at Dan the Man. He's almost changing gear for Johners. And as they head over the bridge towards the end of Sector 2, Dan's going to have to go the long way around. Johners defends that one, but we saw from the last lap just how good Dan's exit was here. And is he going to do a carbon copy and move himself up into third place? Johners has gone defensive, though. He knows what's coming. And Dan the Man just sits there for the moment and bides his time, but he hasn't got much time to bide.
Yeah, maybe see a little bit of DRS chicken right now, but I think Johners is just going to keep his line and Dan the Man's going to stay as close as he possibly can. Ewan is not out of this fight either. He's closing in and hopefully can take advantage of any misfortunes that one of these two drivers have. Yeah,
final lap then. Soft Cop has raced away with this one, as he has done ever since lap number 1. And Alistair Bain was, well, perhaps trying to cause a bit of a last-minute drama, but no safety cars. So here we go then. Johners has to go defensive, but he doesn't have much to defend with. And Dan the Man finds himself on the inside into turn number 7, and he's got third place. Johners tries to hold on to it, but look at Ewan. Ewan's made his way past as well. Johners has lost 2 in 1 corner. Disastrous for him.
Yeah, and then Court's managed to get in 9/10 of this pack as well, so he might be able to get involved going into these final 2 sections of the race. Dan the Man doing exactly what he wanted to do. They're all running so low on the RS now. I don't think we'll see that sort of move unless it is just like a great dive and see who comes out on top here. Obviously, Johners and Court will get that place back with Ewan's penalty, but it's all about what happens on track, and they will all want to finish ahead of one another.
They certainly will, but meanwhile we've got to turn our attentions back to the front as we've had one man absolutely dominate from lights to flag. He will come round the final corner. He cruises round the final corner to win yet another race in TGP1. Softcop wins in Singapore. Cam's going to come across the line in second. A good recovery from him. And Dan the Man, after an aggressive strategy towards the end of the race, does come round the final couple of corners to pick up third place. A good result for the Liverpudlian. Big Boy Ewan crosses the line in 4th, but drops to 6th with Jonathan Court benefiting from his penalty. Jack Hickey had a bit of a lonely race coming home in P7. And look at this. Jovial Manatee has put aside his earlier woes and will come across the line to finish in P8 ahead of Chiapelli in P9. Machine Island will come across the line in P10, but we'll see what happens when his penalties are applied. Dom Smith is coming to the last couple of corners now. He will finish the race, I guess, in P11. He does. And then we've got a bit of a wait for the likes of Matt Tibos, Speed Kai, Lewis Craig and Alistair Bain. But, well, Sean, there wasn't much action going up on the very front of the field, but the rest of the race was certainly entertaining.
Yeah, like both races tonight, they've just been jam-packed with action. And that one is quite unfortunate, as we did have that little incident between Cam and the Confessor. But as it stands, the Soft Cop has won this race, so will actually narrow his gap to Cam and potentially overtake him in the championship standings.
Yeah, well, it is interesting to see what will happen. As we said, we don't know really what happened between Cam and the Confessor. The only big incident we saw during the race, so something could still come forward of that. Hopefully it doesn't. Certainly from our perspective, it didn't look like there was anything intentional going on there. But nonetheless, we find ourselves in a position where we've had another interesting race, another swing in this title battle, and the challenge still remains between Cam and Softy.
Yeah, it's going to be a close championship now. and Softcock coming out celebrating his number one spot on the podium. Actually winning, I think that'll be his 6th win out of, what is it, I think it's 10 races now. So missing out on 2 weeks this season. Obviously we might have seen him get some wins there, but credit to all the drivers. They've all had great form all season long, and anything could happen in TGP1 because we've got so many former champions up to the challenge of racing and getting that win.
Yep, anything happens in TGP1, and it usually does. So Softcop was your race winner, he was your pole sitter, and he got the fastest lap, so perfect display from him, with New Zealand Cam joining him on the podium in P2 in his title rival. Dan the Man capped off a great display in the end to finish in P3, with John as in 4th. Core Gill was 5th and Big Boy Ewan 6th. Jack Hickey was in 7th. Jovial Manatee 8th. Mr. Chiapelli was in 9th, and Machine Island rounding out the top 10 after starting on the front row. Dom Smith was 11th, Speak High 12th, Matt Tibos we saw in the wall but ended up 13th. Lewis Craig 14th, Alistair Bain 15th. The Confessor, our second retiree, in 16th, and Jack Pearson didn't finish, but was classified 17th. So, Sean, tell me then, who's your driver of the night?
My driver of the night, I'm going to give 2 actually, because it's got to be Cam and Confessor, just for their battles together throughout the entirety of both races.
Yep, I think you're right. I think I'm going to go with actually of the 2. I think I would go with actually the Confessor, because I think he put in a great display in Monza after that initial mistake, and obviously ended up out of Singapore through no fault of his own. And I think no one could have touched Softy in Singapore. I think that's safe to say. But
he's qualifying 5 tenths and 6 tenths ahead at the end of both of those. So the other drivers clearly have a bit of practice to do, or just put in that little bit extra work and just be a bit elbows out into the corners and squeeze him out the best you can.
Well, we will find out if anyone can come back next week and challenge Softcop, who arguably should have won Monza as well, but for a questionable strategy. Nonetheless, this has been a fantastic night for TGP1. Another great advert of why this league is just so great. And we have a really interesting race in Monza and Singapore, where we witnessed just controlled dominance. Well, the tracks we're going to next week, we're going to Japan and Qatar, and I hope you're all going to join us there. Sean, I should say, even, it's been a pleasure having you in the commentary box. Thank you very much for joining me, even if I did get your name wrong at the end.
It's been brilliant. Thank you.
Well, it's good to hear. Well, I've been Mike Noon. He's been Sean. Do make sure to check out the TGP Series Twitter account for any news of any post-race issues afterwards. But for the meantime, at least, this has been a TGP Series production, and we look forward to seeing you next week, and we look forward to seeing you on PS4. But for now, thank you very much, and goodbye.